Hello, and welcome to Unity of Las Vegas. My name is Jim Lee, and I'm the spiritual leader here, and I'm so glad that you are joining us. If this is your first time, I'm just sending you love and blessings from all of us, but I want you to know that love is the order of the day at this ministry. So take a full deep breath and think of something loving, and as you exhale, to just send it out to everybody. And as you do, just know that this love is being transmuted to all of us for something very special. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at life. An interesting kind of way. The title of my talk is Hearing the Call for Love in Times of Crisis. But before we get into that, I just want you to open up your minds and hearts so that you can be ready for something special. Today's service is brought to you in 3 parts. First, we have the music, which is opening you up. Then we have the message to fuel you up. And then we have a meditation to connect you up. So, be blessed. Enjoy today's service.
Hi, friends. Hope you guys are well and standing strong in the very center of your being. We sincerely appreciate you. We love you, and we see the Christ in each and every one of you. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button below this video, and if you ring that little bell, you'll receive a notification every time we post a program or a video on this channel, like the music video that you're about to see. For Reverend Jim's message today, I'm performing a song written by Cynthia James. Interestingly, this is one of the first posi-music tunes I learned when I first got involved with Unity. I hope you enjoy this one. This is Standing in the Light.
Run, your soul can't hide. The thing you fear will chase you down. You can't cheat or live those lies. Shadows must give way to the light. When your mind is full of unnecessary thoughts and the world is pulling you down, with your head up high, get your chin up off the ground. Remember, you're standing in the light. When your heart is full with the clutter of your life and the rain is falling all around, hold your head up high, get your feet up off the ground. Remember, you're standing in the light. There's no place you can't be seen. Your destiny must be fulfilled. So stand up now, live your dreams. Shadows will now become the light. When your mind is full of unnecessary thoughts and the world is pulling you down, with your head up high, get your chin up off the ground. Remember, you're standing in the light. When your heart is full with the clutter of your life and the rain is falling all around, hold your head up high, get your feet up off the ground. Remember, you're standing in the light. Your mind is full of unnecessary thoughts and the world is pulling you down. With your head up high, get your chin up off the ground. Remember, you're standing in the light. When your heart is full with the clutter of your life and the rain is falling all around, hold your head up high, get your feet up off the ground. Remember, you're standing in the light. When your mind is full of of unnecessary thoughts, and the world is pulling you down. With your head up high, get your chin up off the ground. Remember, you're standing in the light. When your heart is full with the clutter of your life, and the rain is falling all around, hold your head up high, get your feet up off the ground. Remember, you're standing in the light. 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 There you are.
Well, the title of my talk today is Hearing the Call for Love in Times of Crisis. Hearing the call for love in time of crisis. Well, as we have what I call this pandemic, and it doesn't seem to be going away. In fact, it's spreading, and as it does, there's more and more fear that's occurring, and there appears to be more and more suffering. And in the midst of what we call civil unrest and what I would call political turmoil that's generating more and more mistrust, I'm tempted, and some of us are tempted to think that there is nothing that we can do. We may feel, in fact, a little bit of hopelessness coming in. Well, the first thing that I want you to know is this. Please don't despair. Don't despair. Some of you who have heard me before are familiar with this story, but I think it's really appropriate for this time. There was a truth student who was going through a tough time, and she was down and out, and she prayed. She said, God, please help me, bless me with prosperity and abundance so I can get through these tough times, because she was getting a little depressed. Well, don't you know, that very day in the mail, a friend of hers said, you know what, I'm thinking about you, and I was touched and moved to send you $200. So in an envelope was $200. And so she was really excited about that, and she was just thanking God, and she was just looking out the window. She was on the second floor apartment, and down on the street was a guy who was asking for money, and he seemed to be down and out. And she thought for a moment, well, you know, I've got something to share. So she got an envelope, and she put one of the $100 bills in it, and she kept the other one, and she wrote on it, don't despair. She called out to the guy, and he said, here, take this. And so she threw it down to him, and she said, I want you to remember this. Don't despair. So he says, wow, thank you, ma'am. And he started to walk away. She said, remember this. Don't despair. Well, she felt kind of good about that, but I just want to indicate that a couple of days later, she heard a knock at the door. A guy was there dressed all clean, and she looked at him and she said, wait a minute, weren't you the guy that I just gave $100 to? She says, yes. Oh, thank you. I am clean shaven now. I'm dressed up and everything is going great. And she said, what on earth happened? And he said, lady, I just want you to know, don't despair. Paid 50 to 1. We're rich. So my thing is, don't despair. Don't gamble either, but don't despair. This is not the time for it. Something else is in the air. Don't despair. Well, in order for us to take on this new attitude and to hear the call that's ready to emerge in and through us, I want to quote a friend of mine and a personal friend of Lisa's. She just finished a retreat with him, and his name is Jeff Carreira. And he says this: in order to propel ourselves into a new future, we must find a vision of reality that will allow us to think expansively and feel deeply with new sensitivities. Together, we will find the strength and the courage to stay true to our deepest inner calling, and in so doing, give our greatest gift to this world in need. So in order to propel ourselves forward, you know what? Don't despair. I know times look like they're tough. I know it looks like there's no way out of this, and it looks like it's insurmountable, but don't despair. A couple things. One, the universal presence called God Almighty knows no degree of difficulty. And that very thing that we're looking at having a realization of peace and freedom and deep compassion for all life and for everyone, and to be able to live in harmony with everything. I just want you to know, in fact, not only is it possible, but we're bringing it into existence right now. Don't despair. We are ready to evolve into something absolutely wonderful. Right now, the world is calling forth at this time love. And so what we're going to do is hear this call in this time of love, in this time of crisis, so that we could move forward and burst forth something that's really great. Well, in this right now, I would call this what we're experiencing. It's looks like and feels like duality. It's a sense of separation. And there's a man by the name of Thomas Samuel Kuhn. In 1962, he wrote a book. It's called The Structure of Scientific Revolutions. And a quote that he has is, "A paradigm is a set of assumptions about what is real." So what I'm saying is we're going to evolve and emerge from a set of assumptions and a paradigm of what is, I would call it duality and separateness and all of that, into a new paradigm of wholeness. Now, this is something new, but yet is something that we are ready for. We've been trained for this. We have been guiding ourselves for this very moment. This is the time to be alive because we're ready to make a shift. Now, this paradigm and this way that we have been living is like, what we think, we project, and then what's projected, we see, and then once we see it, we incorporate it like it's for real, and then we believe that it is true. But what it really is, like Thomas Kuhn said, all it is all of our thinking and assumptions about this reality is now ready to fade away. It's a paradigm shift is going on. And we're breaking out of this loop of being trained to think a certain way and see a certain way, and then we invite it in like it's the truth. We are now shifting that. So in the midst of what I would call these world dilemmas, there's a lot in our head that is being projected out. We now have reason for hope because we can break out of this old paradigm of duality and pain and suffering, and in this very moment, shift into a new paradigm, a new way of thinking and relating. But in order to do that, it takes what I call a both and or banding. We take a look at the future of love and possibility and wholeness, and we're stepping into that. At the same time, we're ready to release and let go our old way of thinking. So we are now in the midst of, it's almost like we're caught in midair. We're leaving one way of being and we're letting it go, and we're going forward to something else. That's the reason why everything appears to be in a state of confusion and all of that, because something new is ready to give birth. But what it needs is our love to meet it. Give you an example. Last week I spoke about my time at the dog park. I have this dog by the name of Mojo. He's a golden retriever, and he's got plenty of energy. So I had to take him to the dog park. So every morning at about 5:30 or so, I'd go to the dog park and stay out there for about an hour and a half. And about 15, 20 people are there. And sometimes we get into discussions. And this particular time, we got into a discussion about fake news and what is true. And I just happen to say, at one point in time, I believe that the Native Americans, because of what I read in the book and what the teachers informed me, they were actually bad people and that they were just in the way of the settlers. And in fact, they were the enemies of progress. And I thought that at that particular time, that the only good Indian was Tonto. And if you don't know, years ago there was a program called The Lone Ranger, and the sidekick was Tonto. And he was the only good one. That's what I thought, and that's what I believe. And then later on, I come to realize, oh no, especially after reading this book called Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, I come to see there is another side of the story. And I'm saying, I've come to believe that Native Americans are human beings and they're not bad people. Well, one of the guys said, no. The Native Americans or the Indians, they're savages and they needed to be killed. And as I said last week, that really disrupted my whole way of thinking. I got hooked by that comment. I really got upset. And I was just yelling at him, no, they're human beings for Christ's sake. And he says, no, they're savages and they needed to be killed. And we left in a huff and a puff. He left, took his dog and went home. And I said, Mojo, let's go. So I took Mojo and we went home, and I was driving home. And I'm just saying, oh my goodness, how could he think that? How could he be that way? They're human beings for Christ's sakes. And it's like, I know I'm right and he is wrong. And I stopped for a moment as I was driving home, and I said to myself, wait a minute. Do I want to be right? Or do I want to express the divine? And I said, no. I want to be right. And I know I'm right. And everybody at the park would agree with that I'm right. And hey, I'm right and I'm furious. And you know what? I noticed that I wasn't feeling any better. And I'm thinking, whoa, what if this is not how I'm perceiving it? What if there's something else that's taking place? What if I create another paradigm shift with the same experience? And so what came to me was a line from the Course in Miracles, and it says, I could see love and peace instead of this. I am willing to see something else instead of this. And so with that, I came up with this wonderful affirmation. I am willing to see love instead of this. I am willing to see love instead of this. Now, first of all, that made me feel good all inside, and all the anxiety and the angst and the uptightness and the disruption and the disharmony in my whole being seemed to calm down as I said, I want to see love instead of this. And I realized that, wait a minute, maybe if I just took a look at this as not only the Native Americans are human beings, but he's a human being too, and he's not my enemy. So I breathed that in, and so after having a conversation with Lisa, I just sort of like got it together, and so the next day, guess what I did? I went back to the park, and what I said is, you know what? I'm going to call him Mr. A. Mr. A, I apologize for you. You have a right to your opinion. I have a right to not agree with you, but who you are is a human being, and I respect that. And I turned to everybody in the park because they definitely were listening. And I said, and I apologize to you because this is a place in which we come together in fellowship and we will love our dogs. And I just want to create a harmonious atmosphere so that we can continue on here. And he says, you know what? I hear what you're saying, but I don't apologize. Now, normally this would have hooked me again, but it didn't. I just said, you know, I am not trying to convince you or do anything to you or get you to see anything a particular way. All I'm doing is let you know is you're a fellow human being with me, and I love you. I love everybody here. And relax in this moment and just accept the fact that we are one. I felt and saw that he relaxed a little bit. And then I said something that really caught him off guard. I said, you know what? Let me take you to breakfast. And so on Monday, we went to breakfast, and it was my treat. And what we did is we had a great breakfast. We didn't discuss Native Americans as a problem. We discussed what it was just to be a human being. And then I found out that he's living alone. The only thing that he has is his dogs. But also I was able to glean is that by and large, what he really was needing was a cry for love. And this incident allowed us to connect in a unique and different way. Well, Mr. A, as I called him, came back to the dog park, and he was just so excited about the breakfast that, guess what? He said, let's go to breakfast again, and this time I'm paying. And I'm saying, whoa, this is pretty good, but oh no, it didn't stop there. Let me tell you what happens when we make a paradigm shift, when we change the view. Some people came up to me afterwards and said, I heard about that. What you did, that is so good. I just want you to know he's changing a little. He's not admitting it, but he's softer. You have affected him, but also what you've done is you've changed me. I'm just thinking about, I got an uncle that gets on my last nerve. We get in arguments about politics, but we don't have to get into argument about politics. He's a human being. And so I just want you to know a paradigm shift that we incorporate, it has the effect of changing other things, changing our reality, but also changing other people as well and other things. It is a matter of what are we choosing to see. I'm inviting us to choose and to see love more than anything else. Don't despair, because as we shift our perception, as we shift our interpretation about what we see and experience, that thought vibration that we have is consistent with the real reality that's going on. There's only one thing that's going on, and it's love. And then we can see things as they really are. And as we see things as they really are, they manifest again as they really are and feed back to us. But also, I am real excited about it contaminates the field in such a way that other people get affected as well. It is something that can move in and through us in a profound way. I also am changed by depth by doing this. I took a look and I donated some money to the Native American College Fund, and it felt so good to do that. That interaction inspired me to give to the Native Americans, and I know that's going to bless them. I want you to know that these little acts, we don't know that of love, can go out and transform life. Don't despair. It is potent. It is powerful. We can see love in everything, and it can transform our lives, transform other people's lives, because we are all connected. Just remember this, love wins. And so the next time something comes up that you don't like, and trust me, it's going to happen a lot, especially over these next few weeks with the elections and all of that. Choose to see love, bless people with love. It will transform your life, but also, this is transformational. It's going to transform other people's lives. Open up your hearts now. Let Lisa take us into meditation and drive the point on home for you. Choose love.
My most favorite Teilhard de Chardin quote of all time is the most telling and profound way of describing the evolution of the universe would undoubtedly be to track the evolution of love. So as we look to hold this beautiful intention of hearing the call of love in times of crisis, it's important that we align with the direction of evolution, which both expands and deepens. Now, most of us are more familiar with the expansion of the universe. And when we imagine this expansion of the universe, very often we think of photographs of the Earth getting smaller and smaller as we look at it in expanding contexts of the solar system, and then inside of the Milky Way, and then inside of 100 billion galaxies. We can begin with this image to get the impression of ourselves as being less and less significant inside of a universe that is getting bigger and bigger. And we can begin to think, what can I, as one person, do in the face of such great world challenges? But the universe, as love, also evolves in the direction of greater and greater depth. And this inherent human longing that we have for God, to be deeply seen, to be deeply cared for, this longing for spiritual freedom and the possibility of living in harmonious union, this desire for a deeper connection with the divine, is met with an ever longing on the part of the universe for increasing intimacy with us. It is truly a beloved, beloved love story between us and the divine. However great this expansion, we are the center of God's universe, the very heart of God. And because the universe is more of a verb than a noun, our empowerment as divine beings is increasing in every moment. Our capacity is increasing in every moment to meet what we are experiencing in the 3D world several times over. And it is being in the world individually and collectively from this awareness of perpetual infusion of love that we create a global transformation. So let us now take this awareness into meditation. So I invite you, wherever you are, just to find a comfortable way of being, whether you are sitting or laying down. And just bring your attention to your breath, allowing the wisdom in this breath to harmonize all parts of your being, relaxing your physical body, softening your feelings and your thoughts, and bringing all of you into harmonious union. So now bring attention to your heart and just imagine yourself breathing in and out of your heart. And inside of your beautiful heart space, sense into your personal longing for God. This longing that you have to be seen deeply, to be cared for. Your longing for spiritual freedom and the possibility of living in harmonious union. Sense into this desire for a deeper connection with the divine, and just totally allow it to fill your heart space. This is your love for God. And now sense into the longing of God for you. Sense into an ever-expanding love that is always available for you. And feel in this expansion the softening of the boundaries of your heart, as these boundaries open more and more to receiving more of this beautiful infusion of love. Sense how indispensable you are to the divine, how indispensable you are to the fullness of expression of love in the world. Rumi says, lovers don't finally meet somewhere. They are in each other all along. So just breathe in this interconnectivity with you and the divine inside of this beautiful image of being together from the very beginning, in the present now, and moving forward into the future. So now inside of this beautiful holding, bring to mind a challenging condition in the world. And this could be, for example, a presidential candidate that you may find challenging, or challenging world condition, or something that is very personal to you that you find challenging. And just hold this inside of this love. And say to this condition, I choose to see love instead of this. I choose to see love instead of this. And now bring to mind another challenging condition, either a world condition or something in your life, or in the life of a loved one. And infuse it with this love that is both from your heart and from the divine. And say to this condition, I choose to be love instead of this. I choose to be love instead of this. And now bring to mind one more challenging condition, holding it in your heart, inside of this magnificent love that is you. And say to this condition, I see only love. I see only love. And now allow your mind to move from one image to another as you see only love. And as you are being only love. In tracking the evolution of love, we need look no further than our own hearts. Breathe in the fullness of this truth, because this is the way it really is.
In tracking the evolution of love, we need to look no further than our own hearts. I love that. Thank you, Lisa. And thank you for joining us today. Gosh, it's my pleasure to be here. And just want you to know that immediately following the service, we have what is called a fellowship time, in which we get a chance to discuss what went on in the service or anything that's going on in your life. And so please join us. You can go to our website or follow the instructions that are in the comments section to join us. And so if this service, supported you in any kind of way, there's a couple of things that I want you to do. Is one, just share it. Let people know about Unity of Las Vegas. And then just to send it maybe to your family, friends, co-workers. And also I'm inviting you to be in partnership with us in a couple of ways. One, just send us your love with your prayers. And the other thing, financial support, just really makes a big difference. And so you could do that in multiple ways via telephone or go on our website just to do that. I am acknowledging the fact that we are in partnership to make a difference. And so let's expand this and create a world that works for all. And in conclusion, we're going to go to the prayer for protection. Now, this prayer for protection, it's all over the world. And in fact, it's out of the world because Neil Armstrong took the prayer to the moon. So let's just say it for ourselves, for our families. Let's say it for our world, but also let's just say it for the entire universe. And that is, the light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, just know God is there and all is well. God bless you.
So stand up now, live your dreams. Shadows will now become the light. When your mind is full of unnecessary thoughts and the world is pulling you down, with your head up high, get your chin up off the ground. Remember, you're standing in the light. When your heart is full with the clutter of your life and the rain is falling all around, hold your head up high, get your feet up off the ground. Remember, you're standing